Hello there. Welcome back to Star Wars Savage, or welcome if you're brand spanking new. Today's video is actually very simple. I wanted to talk about the Acolyte. A lot of the Star Wars community is talking about it already. I wanted to upload as soon as it ended, but I figured I'd wait, and I'm really glad that I did. Because the Acolyte was a really deep show. It had flaws, and it had underlying characteristics that made it better than other shows in certain aspects. And that's a really confusing sentence that I just said, but that's kind of what the show was. Confusing. If you asked yourself what was the moral throughout the show, there wasn't really an answer to that. My favorite one to go off of that I kind of kept track of throughout the show was Master Soul. He was the most straightforward character out of them all. He was extremely complex, don't get me wrong. Probably the best written character in the show. But his story was the only one that made sense, and it hurt seeing him die. Spoilers. It hurt seeing him die because it didn't feel deserved at all. He was a flawed man. He made a mistake. But in the end, it was just his love for both the sisters, Osha and May, that caused him to make the decisions that he did. And even killing their mom, which was the quote-unquote decision that, made Osha kill him, even killing the mom was 100% justified in the fact that she was a black cloud and looked like she was absorbing May in the one scene. It was bad. That looked bad. And if I was a Jedi, I would have stabbed her too. The Night Witches are not people to be messed with. And these were a separate cult, so you don't even know what kind of magic they're messing with. But I would like to talk about the show and what it's kind of been doing to the Star Wars community, if I'm being honest. I have touched on it before on this channel, very, very slightly. I haven't done too much in the regard of talking about Star Wars, which is funny because that's what this channel is supposed to be. But it's tearing us apart. It is. Because there's a lot wrong with this show in the regard of lore, kind of bad writing, and just really, really confusing choices. So as far as the lore is concerned, the problems with the lore: Darth Plagueis, Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, them all being in this show feels wrong. This show feels like it should have been something brand new. It is part of Star Wars as a whole, but this is before Star Wars. This is prequels. This is an unexplored area by anybody other than Legends. So I feel like this story should have done what The Mandalorian did and just do something new. The setting was already somewhat established by Legends. Jedi are in control. It's a time of peace, prosperity for the Jedi, for the galaxy as a whole. So they just had to make a story. They could have made it about corrupt Jedi. They could have made it about really anything. About an acolyte even, of the Sith. And they didn't do that. They made it a murder mystery based off the Jedi Order being attacked. And that's not good. Because the prequels, I think it's, episode 2 or 3, Ki-Adi-Mundi is the one that says, it's been a millennia since a Sith even existed. By putting him in this show, he had to have known. He had to have known that how many Jedi were killed? There were a lot of Jedi killed in this show. I will say, that's one compliment I have to this show. They were not afraid to kill side characters. For example, like the sequels, I don't feel like any of the notable heroes died. Like Poe Dameron, character I really liked. Finn, I love Finn. They both could have been developed a lot better or written 10 times better, but they weren't. Kill him off. I like that this show was not afraid to kill off the dude with the really cool hair and the girl with the horns and the kind of orange. I like that. That was cool, and that kind of cemented the stranger or whatever, that dude's name, I have no clue who he actually is. That kind of cemented him as, okay, take this guy seriously. Take the show seriously. Because they're doing something that Disney Star Wars hasn't done yet, other than with Andor. And slightly in The Mandalorian, they started going off from the killing people season 2, especially season 3. Season 3 was so bad. But back to The Acolyte. The Star Wars community is a little bit torn. And by Star Wars community, I mean Star Wars reviewers that I watch. I watch New Rockstars. I've been watching them for a long time. Since I was 6th grade, middle school. I love New Rockstars since they were a skeleton crew. I remember a video back when Eric Voss was like, oh yeah, we're a skeleton crew, so thank you for your patience watching these videos. I've supported them for a long time. So you've got Eric Voss and New Rockstars saying, okay, this is a good show. It's not without its flaws, but it's a really good show. It's Star Wars, it's great. And he's right in some aspects. And then you got Star Wars Theory, another amazing Star Wars YouTuber, arguably one of the most influential Star Wars YouTubers on the platform. Very important. And he just crapped on the show the entire time. And he's not wrong. He didn't go into it saying, okay, I'm gonna give this show as much crap as possible. He went into this show with just expectations that it was going to be good. This is a new story, a new era of Star Wars, and they really dropped the ball. And that's kind of what he was saying. They dropped the ball. His last video that I watched most recently was talking about how Darth Plagueis should not have been in the show. There's just no good point to insert him in the show, and I kind of agree with him. Who's another one I've watched? Generation Tech. I've watched him for a while too. He was more focused on individual characters. He doesn't seem to have a quarrel with the show. The last video I watched of his was about Master Soul and about his death, and I really agree with him. Amazing YouTuber. I highly suggest you check him out. Master Soul was probably my favorite character too. He was amazingly written. He was as good of a Jedi as they get. A lot like Anakin. It's just, you could feel his emotion, his compassion throughout the show, and it's a beautiful thing. It's what makes Jedi Jedi. They are emotional, imperfect warriors trying to make a perfect galaxy, trying to make it a bit better for everybody else. And that's what Master Soul was. Master Soul wanted to protect the girls. Master Soul let his emotions take control. The Jedi should have never been in that fort, but go watch Generation Tech. He released a video on that, amazing video. Highly recommend. As well as Star Wars Theory and New Rockstars. They are amazing channels. New Rockstars especially do a fabulous job breaking down videos and whatnot. So, to tidy up this video, to sum up what my thoughts are on The Acolyte, it's confused. As you may have been throughout this entire video, The Acolyte didn't feel like it had any structure. It didn't feel like there was even really a script. There was a lot of dialogue that was really dry and useless, and there were a lot of theories that can be made from the show, but it is an era with no other content but non-canon to compare it to. Star Wars Theory in his last video was talking about how he really enjoyed The Mandalorian because he could theorize, okay, where did Moff Gideon come from? What's this guy doing? Because there's other content to compare it to. Is he part of the First Order or is he Empire? Does this become the First Order? This is a whole new era of Star Wars, and you can't compare it to anything. This story essentially had to be original, it had to punch in this new era as something great. And as soon as you hear Force-sensitive twins, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be original. They didn't do a great job. They didn't do bad. I don't think the story was horrible. I think Master Soul is an amazing character, and I'm sad they killed him off. That was the only death I was really sad with. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the show. Kind of confusing. It's going to take a while for people to break down and actually understand what it means in full, including myself. And if you're watching this, I thank you so much for getting this far in the video. drop a like and subscribe if you like. I appreciate your support as always. And I'll see you in the next Star Wars review, Steelers game, God knows what. I'll see you next time.